Hey guys, it's your boy 14 Fluffies, and
Appsaldri800 here.
and today we are doing a discussion for what we think the meta will be like at our regionals, what we think the best decks will be, and what potentially the better rogue decks will be, and what we think we might run into more often than not.
So more or less, we're pretty much going over our thoughts on what this regional is going to probably have. Because at the moment, right now, I feel like Cosmo is going to be the probably the big dog that's running around in the entire tournament.
Yeah, kind of like how Pepe was when I went to my last regional. It's just like
and then followed closely by Monarchs, and then probably Burning Abyss.
I'd say Burning Abyss before Monarchs, just because the last regional I was here, just like there was a Burning Abyss mirror match at least one Burning Abyss mirror match at every single table. Just like there were Burning Abyss everywhere.
Yeah,
and that was before the reprints, and that was just like now that these decks have been reprinted, we're probably going to see a lot more of them now.
Yeah, and pretty much goes the same and said from when we went to the regional in January. We saw a lot of Pepe players and a lot of Pendulum decks running around.
Yeah, but at the same note, I've seen stuff like Dragunities there and Crystal Beasts, as well as Yang Zings, and a lot of other things. So, who knows, really? I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that we could see there.
But let it be known that rogue decks are always fun to see at events, especially if it's something that we haven't seen in a while, or something that's completely under the radar, or overall good against the meta.
Cough, cough.
And Dark Law as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing, like Burning Abyss in January, Burning Abyss started playing Dark Law again, and even then now, like variants of PK and PK. Variants of PK Fire, Pure Phantomites, and Pure BA are still playing Dark Claw, so that's just the thing, I guess. But yeah, but let's continue on with our discussion. So, what do you think Cosmos' most difficult matchup will be outside of its own mirror match?
Its most difficult matchup could very well be the Monarch matchup.
Oh yeah, agreed. I mean, even though because of Dark Planet for Stormforth isn't really a thing, but Erebus doesn't really care about their stuff, does he?
Yeah, because the way Monarchs operate, the new Monarchs can pretty much almost likely maneuver around the Cosmos non-targeting effects, because most of the Monarch stuff doesn't even target to begin with for when their effects activate.
Yeah. I mean, it's, as we all know, it's mainly Erebus and Stormforth. Dark Planet does kind of stop Stormforth, Dark Witch also stops Erebus. But if they have March, I'm not even sure what Monarch players even play now. I mean, Monarchs. Monarchs, when they came out, they don't play an extra deck. Now they play extra decks for some reason. I mean, I understand that it offers more plays. I don't really understand it personally. I honestly think Domain Lock's kind of like the best build of Monarchs, but I don't know. Your opinions may differ.
Yeah, and then for the factor that Cosmos can struggle against other decks that somewhat have a huge advantage over, say for example, Cyber decks. For any decks that run Cyber Dragon comboed with Chimera Deck Fortress Dragon in their extra deck.
Yeah, and plus that stuff's sided anyway, so yeah.
Well, for Cyber decks, they'll always have it in the main deck, so that's nothing too much to worry about.
Yeah, obviously because we know that people are citing Cyber Dragons or even Cyber Dragon cores for the Cosmo matchup, means that Fortress Dragon is still a very viable thing, and thankfully it was reprinted as well. So, aside from that, Cosmo, I feel like Fire King Cosmo are actually pretty susceptible to Iron Wall now that they're special summoning a lot more, and so yeah.
Never mind the pause, because we just got a message over our screen.
Yeah, that's not important. That's something I need to look at on my own time. Yeah, I'd say enough about Cosmo. So, what do you think the next best deck would be?
Personally, for me, I would think at least probably Monarchs. I would say Burning Abyss, considering they can also grind out their matches and probably overcome Monarchs just a little bit. But with there being the new release of Winter Cherry Blossom.
Oh yeah, they're hurt a lot by that, and not to mention that they're also playing that they're largely shifting to trapless builds now. Which means that they don't really trapless builds kind of can't lose a bit on their grind game because they're not playing Traveler anymore. and they lose out on their blowout potential now that they're not playing Fire Lake. So yeah,
Well,
I mean they're mostly just playing the Solemn Brigades, Vanities, and Skill Drain, and that's it.
Well, a couple builds still play Fire Lake.
But the main trend is that they're going largely trapless now, which I disagree with personally.
But going trapless just gives the deck a lot more speed than what it's had in the past.
True. And and you're less likely to lose to a Twin Twisters. So yeah, so I do feel like Burning Abyss is the second best deck in the format right now. But as far as for my personal matchups, Burning Abyss is probably going to be one of the easier matchups. I mean, just because Dark Law pretty much shuts down the whole deck if they can't make Breaksword. I mean, even though they are playing the Speedword engine, which makes it easy, I mean, you could just, if you snipe the, if they snipe the card they search off of Terratop, I can't really remember, I remember the name, I can't pronounce it though. If you snipe that, they can't really do anything about it because even if they have any BAs, it'll just die if you summon it, so yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Dark Law can be GG, especially considering how it's pretty much trapless now, so if you don't open Skill Drain or Raigeki, or if you don't play Kaijus, you pretty much lose. So, yeah, I feel like Burning Abyss has its own challenges, but obviously they've shown time and time again that they can overcome pretty much anything that they're presented with.
Now, with the release of Shining Victories, it's also given a couple of other rogue decks and lower tier decks.
And even introduced newer decks as well.
That too, but it gives it some of the older decks a lot more boost and momentum, so to speak, to their playstyle. For example, Yosenju, the Shining Victories gave us Drowning Mirror Force, or also known as Rippling Mirror Force.
Yeah, and they also got Card of Demise in the Millennium Pack as well.
That too. Senju benefit greatly from the Drowning Mirror Force because Drowning Mirror Force requires your opponent to attack directly in order to use it.
And obviously the Yosenjus all return to your hand, so you're never going to have monsters on your side of the field during your opponent's turn.
And you'll be able to pretty much shuffle everything back into the deck.
I mean, unless like your opponent Fiendish chains it, but that would be the only exception. But that's... Oh wait, if they Fiendish... Oh yeah, if they Fiendish chain it, it just stays in place. Yeah. So yeah, that would be the only exception, and people aren't really playing Fiendish Chain anymore.
And then, of course, with Card of Demise, the new best draw card to date. And you'll send you if you play all your cards down with your Senjus on the field. You use Card of Demise, and then if you're able to use up the rest those three cards, then the end phase factor for Card of Demise, the negative effect won't hinder you as much because
you can choose when your effects resolve. So you can resolve Card of Demise before your Yosenjus, basically.
Yeah, so that your Yosenjus...
It's the same philosophy as the Backing Towers Turbo, where you would have the where you'd be playing Into the Void, and then you'd have Cleafort Monolith. So yeah, basically you'd resolve your Into the Void first, and then resolve Monolith, and then you draw from Monolith.
It's basically so you don't lose advantage.
Yeah, but if you summon Towers, the advantage pretty much doesn't matter.
Yeah, and other decks I feel could be relevant at this event. My guess is of course Heroes.
I'm secretly rooting for Blue Eyes just because they have a lot of power plays.
But they need a few more cards.
Yeah, mainly Alternative Dragon. Yeah, they need that card in particular. Chaos Max is still too new, but they need Alternative Dragon. That's just my 2 cents. Like, why would you need that inherent 3,000 beat stick that you can just summon for having a Blue Eyes in hand?
Yeah, and then
I mean, especially considering how we got Priestess as well, which wasn't even in Shining Victories. It was in its own pack, I think.
Yeah, and then there's also a lot of random decks that can be floating around at these types of events.
Yeah, like you can even play like the Sage with Eyes of Blue and Buster Blader because it searches out Buster Wall.
Yeah, we could see some Buster Blader decks there. Dragoonides as well.
Dragoonides because Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is super easy to make.
You can probably see Volcanics probably showing around.
Mainly because of Card of Demise, I think.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure a couple of
maybe
Duelist Alliance era decks such as
Talor Knights.
Yeah,
well, I mean, Talor Knights plus Card of Demise, even Brilliant Fusion and Talor Knights is solid. So yeah,
and maybe even
Yang
Zings.
Oh yeah, Yang Zings. Well, I mean, Metalphosis would make that deck a lot better, but we don't have those.
That's going to be quite a while until we get those.
Yeah,
those Metalphosis make Yang Zing, at least in my opinion, a more turbo-ish style than they currently are.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? I believe there's one other deck I really, really wanted to talk about. Let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, it was Amorphages. Thing is, Amorphages have a lot of potential if you can actually maintain their costs. If you can keep monsters on the board, and you're able to keep your lock established, you can pretty much win in all matchups, pretty much.
But their problem is that they are very, very slow at setting up their boards.
Yeah, and plus they kind of also auto-lose to Mask of Restrict, which is already being cited for Monarchs anyway. Same thing with Magispectors as well.
As well as anti-spell fragrance, considering a majority of their monsters are pendulum monsters.
Yeah, but ever since Draco Pals got the axe, people aren't citing anti-spell quite as much. I mean, obviously it's still a really good card against stuff like Monarchs, just because they have because they're very spell-oriented and they have to set all their stuff before they can use it.
Pendulum deck-wise, on what we could see at this event, is quite possibly Magispectors.
I'd say Magispectors and Amorphages over anything. Maybe Dynamist, maybe.
A few Dynamists, and very possibly we could see other forms of Draco Pals and or Performa Pal decks.
Maybe even maybe even Zephyra. Maybe Zephyra Zings.
Because to me, considering I'm not that big of a fan of the Pepe deck or the Draco Pal deck, I greatly respect the nature of that deck, because it can evolve and do.
No matter how it gets hit, you can always find a way to bring it back to life somehow.
Yeah, so I can see Performing Pals, Draco Pals coming back at some point in the near future. Probably not with Shining Victories.
Well, I mean, they're still getting more support for some reason. As long as they keep getting good support, and as long as, as long as the best cards in the deck are still playable, like Sorcerer, Joker, I'd say even Monkey Board Band wouldn't even be bad, because, I mean, one Monkey Board is still perfectly playable. I mean, they still have lots of other good cards.
And then as far as the synchro-based strategies, we could see Zombie Synchro making a huge impact, probably.
Yeah, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is pretty much going to be splashed in everything it could be played in, potentially, which is going to be very big.
And then with, of course, pre-preparation rights, it also sparks the
stuff like
revival of
Herald and stuff. Herald, Saphira Herald, pretty much Herald. And we don't even have that Ritual Sanctuary yet, but with pre-preparation of... It's basically anything that's not Necros can play it.
Yeah, if it could be played in Necros, it would be pretty legit in the deck for the most part.
I really feel bad about Necros. Like, I don't know, but that's just me. I mean, I'd like to see some Necros there. And
then as far as what we can expect for us to do on how we can perform in this event,
it just depends on our matchups. We don't know what they are.
For me, I'm at least hoping just for something better than just 2 losses.
Me personally, I'm hoping for 8 straight mounts of Mermail, because that means I just 2-0 them every time.
Yeah, and also Mermail's the deck, but
they're still really good, but it's just that they're not seeing as much play now.
It's either OTK by turn 2, or you automatically lose.
Oh well, they could just sit on Abyss Gaius as well.
They could, but
Abyss Gaius is still really good. Just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole spiel about it.
Yeah, but it seems like I expect a fairly decent amount of anti-meta. I mean, last regional I was there, I was like one of 2 hero players there, so, I mean, I'm not expecting a lot of heroes, but hopefully I see like some other stuff like Evil Swarm or Buster Blader or like Amorphages. Those would technically be considered anti-meta because they rely on more locks than anything. But obviously we're going to be seeing lots of meta, lots of Cosmo, lots of Burning Abyss. I'm not sure about Monarchs, to be honest, but definitely Cosmo and Burning Abyss. But yeah, I believe that wraps up everything that we had to say. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much all we can muster up for the time being. So just stay tuned. We'll be setting up more of our vlog videos. So hope you guys enjoyed,
and we'll see you in the next video.